Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experienced Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. This is Ghost Talk with 187 PI. Sit back and prepare yourselves for an adventure into the paranormal world with host Shelly Robertson and 187 PI research team. Ghost Talk is broadcasting live from Ohio's most haunted jail. Learn about their ongoing research at the jail and abroad, investigation techniques, and their personal encounters. Here is your host of Ghost Talk and 187 PI founder, Shelly Robertson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And tonight, I'm going to have a very exciting show for you. I've got a special guest, the voice of Fate Magazine Radio and Paranormal Experienced, Kat Hobson. Welcome, Kat.
Hey there. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love being with you on the air.
I love it too. And, I think sometimes you don't get to be on the other end of the mic so often. So it's really good to have you on. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about some, the coffee house of the paranormal, so to speak.
That would be a great name for a show.
Yeah, it would. Where you just, have a lot of people on together and you just talk about
all things.
Yes, everything. Just whatever comes. It would be new and exciting every week.
Well, I am just cool with that.
Right. So, let's talk about some haunted places.
Ooh, let's do. Which one should we start with?
Well, what is your most recent haunted place you've been to?
Oh, well, that would be simple. That would be the old Paulding Jail in Paulding, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
That is the most recent one that I've actually done work in.
Is it? It is. When you was with me up there in September, that's the most recent, huh?
It is because, I went from there. I did a lecture down with the Crypticon down in Orange Beach, Alabama, which was so much fun. I actually spoke on ufology, and that was something new for me. Usually when I speak on the paranormal. But then it was girls' trip, and I focused a lot on left foot, right foot while I was down there. So then came home, and it was grandbabies, and they made me sick.
Oh, my goodness. Yes,
and so now I'm well.
For a minute. You were sick for a minute with all those medications. They tell everyone the great cough syrup. I still get a kick out of that.
Oh, my gosh. Y'all will never believe this. If anybody ever tries to give it to you, say no. My cough medicine, if I'm lying, I'm dying, was Ninja Cough. COFF. And apparently it's all the rage in the, drug salesman circles.
Yes.
And it was definitely interesting.
I mean, I was just shocked. I didn't believe there was really a medication called that. It was so funny to me.
Well, I'm going to tell you, they made me use a syringe to take it because they were
gosh.
They were so adamant, do not take more than this. Do not take more than this, in one day. So I was a believer, and finally I just absolutely said, I'm not taking this anymore. This is yuck. It made me feel worse than being sick. And I hate feeling worse than being sick. So anyway, ninja cough, not your friend. Do not take it.
Right. The ninja got a hold of you.
The ninja whipped my butt. So yes, that is definitely not something to do. But, and then, we have the holidays coming up. We had Thanksgiving, now Christmas. And so I really haven't been out and about as I should have been. But I'm planning to change that because, we all know Sloss is in my backyard, right?
Absolutely.
So I am going to go up there. I met with a woman there. It did not go well. But because they're not wanting to invite the paranormal community in whatsoever. Unfortunately for that attitude, but fortunately for paranormal investigators the world over, that is a National Historic Landmark. And it is free. Mm-hmm. And you can go all day long during their hours of operation. They are, I'm hoping that when they realize just how well respected they are, because, Sloss Furnace would not even still be, it wouldn't have any attention. It would still be in the shape it was in without the paranormal community.
Yes, it would. And, I do got to say that a lot of places are actually benefiting a little bit as far as rehab and restorations due to letting people come there and experience paranormal activity.
Well, there's absolutely no reason to not do that. They have once a month historic tours at night.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, it is nice, but I don't think that that's going to quite serve the purpose. If you've never investigated there, that place is so active that it is a real loss. Of course, I prefer to investigate it during the day because you can actually, if you're in the tunnels, you can see what's happening around you. I've gotten my best evidence there during the day because spirits are not, necessarily nocturnal.
And I totally agree with that because I think from my experiences, different places, not just only at the jail, I think that the spirits carry on some of their same routines as they did in the living. And most people are daytime people,
Yes.
And I get some of the best evidence during the daytime and morning hours, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, people are showing up for work. The inmates are being awakened and fed. There's, in reality, even if you're dealing with a stone tape theory, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's not conscious activity, which Paulding Jail has conscious activity. Sloss has conscious activity because they will interact and directly answer questions.
Yes.
So I've had that happen at both places. And it just is amazing to me that there's so much communication.
Well, and I think that it's just like you and I, if we go someplace, we're going to interact with the people around us. That there are shy people who don't, but a lot of people, they will talk to whoever's there. And I think it's the same in the afterlife. Everybody likes to have some human interaction, and I think that's why when you approach it not in a provoking manner, you get further and they're more apt to communicate with you more. That's what I find.
Well, I agree. And if you do something, particularly in your facility, not that I would have any firsthand experience with this whatsoever, but if you do something, even unwittingly, that is perceived as disrespectful or just thoughtless, it's really going to bite you. And they knew me. They knew who I was. They knew why I was there. And we have a question in chat about a little background of the spirits at Paulding. You want to give just a little bit of one?
Well, we have a jailer, and his name is Gus, and he makes his rounds. He walks the catwalks. You can hear him jingling his keys. Sometimes he talks to us in Spanish, and I cannot speak Spanish, so I always have to have those translated. Mm-hmm. But what I really love it when we get folks that come to the jail for an investigation and they speak a little bit of Spanish, and that has prompted Gus to talk back in Spanish, and it's thrilling, actually. I mean, you cannot tell me that is not intelligent, Well,
it's like it's lost when I was asking who was walking the catwalk above me. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it was definitely EVP. I did not hear this until I was doing my review. I had 3 different voices respond. The first one said, bad customer. And then a few minutes later, this little guy said, Yavo! And then there was a really slow, deep voice that said, bad customer, eat poop. Except not that word. And I was standing there beside myself. I've never had 3 voices interacting with one question there. That was unusual.
That international flair, it makes me, because I talk about some international hauntings and places, mm-hmm. and I do want to take some trips, Kat, and maybe we can go together sometime. I want to see.
I'm not going to that Japanese suicide forest with you.
That's on my bucket list.
But that's not on mine.
I will make it there one day. But I'm talking about just some other country where they don't speak English. And I'm curious as to what the interactions will be.
Well, one thing that we could do would be to go somewhere like Jamaica, mm-hmm. where the cash house is that's supposed to be haunted. I'm down for a cruise. But you also have, Scottish Paranormal. Our friend Rick McCollum goes and investigates with them every year. And it's very different to investigate there than it is here. For one thing, if you go into a ruin and you get hurt, that's just too dadgum bad. Wow. A lot of those places belong to the National Trust. Right. And, frankly, they're not going to do anything. I mean, you chose to go in. It was obviously derelict. Oh, well.
Right.
But by the same token, you can go and investigate places that you come across. And I think that because with the brogue and stuff, I think that I was just talking to someone today about, do you think that I would be able to understand the accent well enough to do a good interview? I would never want to do less than my best work.
Right.
And it was it was something else. I think I'm going to try that because, there's places that they're the only way to get there. And it's just interesting. And I'm going to let people know there is a chat room. There's two. We have our Spreaker chat room, and we also have, so if you're using Spreaker, if you're mobile, then, that's a good chat room for you, and it's monitored. We also have the WBHM-DB.com chat room, and for whatever reason, everyone but me can type there. And I'm the admin, so go figure that out. If you want to hear directly from me in chat, you're going to have to run through Spreaker. However, Shelly and Denise and hey Carl are in the WBHM-DB chat, and so you can communicate there, and I will still see everything. I just can't respond in typing.
Well,
so my apologies.
It just that makes me wonder. I don't have any non-English speaking international ghost hunting friends. Do you have some like that, Kat?
I do.
And have you talked with them about
I
all
have
of their
actually
EVP work and stuff?
I have actually not, because I get a lot of people, I mean, you do too, we get a lot of people reaching out to us from different countries who want to, because of what we do, they do also interact on different social media.
Yes.
And so I always check. I don't just add someone. But I have an issue if all I'm seeing on your feed is Arabic or Spanish or Italian or German, if you're not bilingual and I am monolingual, it's, and I will try to use a translator to get the information and communicate with them too, because I have a lot of people on my Paranormal Experienced Facebook page who are international listeners, and I love it. I totally love it. But we use translator. Like, I will type what I want to say to them in Google Translate and then post it in a message on my page. And it really is interesting, because sometimes I don't think Google Translate works. And I think that's pretty nifty. I really do.
Yeah.
Because they'll let me know, you should just type it in English and we'll translate it in Google.
Right.
And I am just so lucky to have all those people, because it is a community.
Yes, it is. And I think that Vincent has found some really great new gadgets, and so he was telling me about these headphones and these earbuds that can translate different languages.
Mm-hmm. In real time.
Yes.
I mean, so boom. They're amazing.
So I'm pretty excited about that, because
we would have to have those.
Absolutely. But the thing is, will they understand English, or will we need to? It just makes me wonder if the spirits, like, let's say, in France, would understand what we're saying in English, or would we need a translator to speak, what we're asking?
We would need a translator. I was skeptical of Ghost Hunters International.
Yeah.
Because you can't walk into, Vlad the Impaler's house and say, Hey, Vlad, what's up, dude? Right? Because that's just not, yeah.
So cool to go there.
You have to respect their homeland.
Yes.
So, and is it okay if I say it's time for a break?
I was just about to cut you off.
I knew it. So we have questions over on the Spreaker side, and thank you for posting the listening link over on the WBHM side. So there you go.
And with that, I'm going to tell you we'll be right back after this short break. You are listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM-DB.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experienced here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
To the believer, the evidence is overwhelming. To the skeptic, there will never be enough. Hello everyone. Join Kevin and Jennifer Malik, the host of Paraversal Universe, every Friday here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET FM and The Rift. Log on or tune in as they check out the mysteries found within the 8 categories of the unknown and unexplained, including ghosts and haunted places, aliens and UFOs, theology and mythology, cryptids and monsters, urban legends and folklore, conspiracies, metaphysics, and forbidden archaeology. Listen as Kevin and Jennifer interview the top minds in their respective fields as they share theories and information regarding these unsolved mysteries. For future show and archive information, one can find Paraversal Universe on Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe under various Paraversal Universe headings. So, for excellent talk radio about the unknown and unexplained, check out Paraversal Universe, where all paranormal perspectives apply. Brought to you by the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, LTD, and produced by WBHM-DB.com.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Bye.
Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And I have a special guest tonight, and that's Kat Hobson. And before the break, we were discussing some haunted places and some experiences. And if you would like to join in the conversation, you can join us in the Spreaker chat or the chat room at WBHM-DB.com. And you can ask us anything you like. So we were talking about the translations and international hauntings. And what I find interesting is I have seen some ghost hunting shows that have talked in English, and that is kind of, it just makes me wonder if that's far-fetching or not, you know?
Well, I will say that I got a message from Carl. He says spirits understand any language. We get several languages from EchoVox 3. And I try not to use apps because I never trust them.
Yeah.
So, because everything is programmable. And you're being triangulated, whether you have airplane mode on or not, it's trying to triangulate you. So, like if you're at the prison, then things happen that are prison related. You know, I actually, as much as it drives me completely bonkers, I will use an SB7 before I will use an app. And I can't stand white noise. So I really prefer to do an EVP session with just my recorder. So, and I usually have video cameras running too, and I absolutely get good stuff. Even if I'm running a video recorder, I actually like that because, you know, it's validation if I'm getting it on two separate pieces of equipment. Because I do carry a rig that has my camcorder, it has a voice recorder usually strapped on the top as well. And I'm covering some pretty different bases, I think.
Yeah. Well, we had a question in chat, okay? And I think from Sherry. And she's asking how big Paulding is. It's quite tiny. It's not even a city municipality. It's a village. The county itself is big, but the town is a very small farming community. Pretty
gorgeous,
close.
though.
Yeah, close-knit community. And everybody's actually pretty nice. And Sherry's wanting to know favorite experiences we've ever had. Have we investigated other places where we've had awesome experiences? And I will say, golly gee willikers, I've been so many places. How about you, Kat?
Oh, yes. You know, I think one of my favorite places was the Pensacola Lighthouse, because the person I was investigating with had come up with a fantastic idea. It was, unfortunately, something that you couldn't follow up with someone that was answering you, but it was a great tool. And that was having questions on a recorder running and having a separate recorder running as well, so that you could pick up the answers to the questions as it was live. And we got some incredible evidence, but you could tell that they were very frustrated because, you know, one of the questions was, did you or anyone that you loved die here? And the EVP was Mom and Dad.
Oh.
And then, yeah, because the recorder is quiet waiting on answers, and the voice goes, Mom and Dad. And then a third time, it was like, Mom and Dad.
Huh.
Right? So, and you know, I had that happen to me at Caraway Hospital here in Birmingham, where I was using an SB7. I didn't hear the response because I struggle with white noise. I heard it when I was reviewing, and I couldn't go back. And my question had been, so did everyone here die of a heart attack? If you're still here, did you die of a heart attack? And the response was a man who said, no, they shot me.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't respond to him. And he sounded like he was in such anguish. And I can't go back because it was just a gift to be able to be there in the first place, right? So it was, that's one of the reasons I do not like white noise machines, because I cannot pick real time listening out of it?
I think, oh my goodness, I have been so many different places and all over many states. I would say I'm partial to my own building just simply because I've made friends with the ghosts. I know it sounds crazy, but I had some pretty crazy evidence from Waverly Hills. I will say that.
Yep. See, I have not gone there yet. We should work on that.
I had some really great photographs, great videos. The EVPs were off the chain at Waverly Hills. It's very, very, very haunted.
Is it scary haunted, though, or is it just haunted?
I was not scared. Although
you don't scare easy. Would the average person have been scared?
Quite possibly. I will tell you, though, down there near the hallway where the morgue is.
Is that death tunnel?
Well, that's at the end of that hallway. But I will tell you, that hallway there that runs in front of the morgue, I was very, very startled there because, and I think this was a residual haunting, that happens over and over and over. Something triggers it. But you get to a certain place in that hallway and you'll hear the hard-soled shoes, the walking coming towards you. I mean, it's literally comes in front of you. And I jumped back. I was so startled, and I'm like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. And that's when every time I tried it a few times. It happened every time. So I'm like, there is a residual here and something triggers it when you're there. I don't know. It's so crazy.
Well, I will tell you that, the times that I've spoken with the Booths and, we're friends and I just love them. And Rachel, I hope you're healing really, really well. Christopher said that death tunnel is the creepiest place he's ever been and the only place that has given him concern.
Now, when I was there that night, I walked all the way to the bottom, and I think just the way the stairs are shaped and the steepness of them and everything, it throws the equilibrium off a little bit going up and down them. But the night I was there, I had no activity. I didn't feel creepy. I had nothing happen in that tunnel, in the body chute tunnel. It was in front of the morgue for me, and on the 5th floor in the psychiatric ward and the children's ward. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, and
I will say that psychiatric wards appear to be very active, whether they are ancient or whether they are newly let go. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And I think that's because mental illness often, especially epilepsy, which was back in the day, that was just, you were considered possessed or something was horridly wrong with you or whatever. But epilepsy is electrical in nature. Your mind is misfiring. Your brain is misfiring. And I think that so many people were literally locked away because of the symptoms of epilepsy and people not understanding it back in the day.
Right.
And it causes, the seizures themselves cause more brain damage. So if you had someone at that period of time when there was not a lot of information and knowledge, then they would just keep getting weirder and weirder and more frightening, and the seizures would grow. That you could go from petite mal to grand mal, and so people just thought that your possession was getting worse, or I mean, and there wasn't a lot of support,
and it'll carry over, just like we're finding the personalities. Mm-hmm. They carry over, and we had a question in chat from Joni, and she asked, where is this particular Paulding at? And Paulding is in Ohio, a little rural town, and we are close to the Indiana border. And if you get a chance, come and visit the jail there, the old jail.
Yes, not the new jail, because
you don't
those do get confused.
And we have another question, is what of our favorite Paracons to go to? Well, I do like Scarefest, but I mean, it's turning more horror, mm-hmm. I think, now. And I'm a big horror fan, and I'm a big fan of the serial killers and all the information about them. And so I have a good
time.
Not
literally the serial killer fan, but what creates them.
Yes, yes. The way they think, and the mistakes they make, and how they got caught. Like we have to clarify that, because I'm not like, a Jeffrey Dahmer groupie or nothing like that. I'm just.
Yes, and I'm Southern, so when we say, "Oh, we could just eat you up, you're so cute," we don't really mean that. Hey, Lori Dorsey.
Yeah, Lori, how you doing? And so I like Scarefest. It's fun, and since
it is fun.
Since I am a horror fan, I've had a chance to meet a lot of my favorite stars. But I'll tell you what I thought was a really great Paracon, and last year was my first time there, and I'm going back this year, and that was the Ohio State Reformatory Paracon. I thought that the paranormal team that puts that on just did such a great job. It was fantastic, and there was a great mix of vendors and stars and things going on there. I thought it was fantastic. What about you, Kat?
I have always wanted to go to the UP in Michigan.
The MI Paracon?
Yes, because I have never, in all the years that I have been involved with the paranormal, I have never heard anything but raves, and that is from attendees who are paying to go and meet people, as well as the people who are paid to be there.
Yeah.
Right? I have never heard one negative thing about that Paracon.
Well,
and that's saying something.
I wanted to attend as a vendor, because I do that at places to let people know about the jail and all that. And you know what? There is a waiting list. And
yes.
I don't know. Maybe put me down for 2024. I don't know. But yeah, there is a waiting list for that one. It's so popular.
Well, for a reason.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are just absolute. They must dot every I and cross every T there. It is the Paracon.
Well, I'm still going to try and plug away and try to get a spot in there, and I won't be giving it up if I get it, but, we're going to do a new one
mm-hmm.
in West Virginia this coming 2020 at the penitentiary, so I'm kind of looking forward to that one.
Moundsville is supposed to be a great one.
That's the one. That's
mm-hmm.
the one. Yep. So I
Yep.
am kind of getting all excited and hyped up about that one. But as far as any other, I would so be interested in going to one out west. I think that one would be very interesting.
Which one?
Well, I saw there's one, there was like, there's one going to be in, let me think now to get it straight. I think it's Utah I saw.
Oh, yes, that was Utah. We were talking about that. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, I'd have to do some searching and pull some lists up, but I have been to a ghost town out in Nebraska, and Lori just said Las Vegas. Oh, Las Vegas would be so.
Viva Las Vegas. See, I could do the Paracon in Vegas and do Contact in the Desert down in Palm Springs, Indian Wells, and then come back. I mean, they're everywhere. Doing another alien. I loved doing Alien Con. I'm just going to put that out there. That was because I was at the very first one. And even though it was a cluster as far as logistics go, because they expected 3,000 people and they had 9,000 people.
Yeah.
In a very small venue. That was a little bit much. But I still love that they do those things. And, you get the metaphysical and ufology and spirituality. All of that's cool. And Lori said she'll go with us. Yes.
That's right. And you know something else. I tell you what, I go to Las Vegas. I am going to visit Zach's museum.
I've been there. It was amazing.
I know that. I really want to check that out. That would be pretty awesome for me.
Yes.
And
I was not expecting that.
And hopefully Zach will be working that day.
And Jenny just said that she lost me. If you could maybe just ask her to refresh over in that, because I can't type in that chat room. Okay. But, I like anything.
I'm going to have to cut you off again. So we'll be right back with more Ghost Talk after this short message. You're on WBHM-DB.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experienced here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And tonight I have the fabulous Kat Hobson with me. And we are talking about, it's like the round table at the coffee house, a little bit of everything, all things paranormal. And we just got done talking about some paracons, ones we like, ones we'd like to go to. And we had Lori said she's in chat, and she would like to do some past life regression. What's your take on that, Kat?
I actually was reading an article relevant to that this afternoon, and I didn't have the chance to finish it. I spoke recently with Kathleen Martin, who is a ufology experiencer, and her aunt and uncle were Barney and Betty Hill, and so she has generational relationships with alien experiences. But she is also a hypnotherapist, and she works with experiencers through MUFON. She is their director of ERT therapy, and I will have to go and look again at my notes on what that is, but basically it's a therapy that's used for post-traumatic stress, and it helps people to be able to do stuff. She does what is called quantum healing hypnotherapy, and she takes you out of where you are and can regress you. She did that with my friend Calvin Parker, who had an abduction, who had been abducted. He was on recently. And it's terrible because it's just all these things, and ostensibly past life experiences follow through your current life, your current experience.
Yeah.
And if you had damage or had made a terrible decision, and I'm going to say, Joni, if you will just go through there, that will probably get you back. But if you like if you suicided in a past life, whatever caused you to do that, whatever pain was flowing through you, you can, I've never done this, but I was reading today that you can go back. If you can do a past life regression and go back and heal or address what the problem was, and then it's almost like a sea change going through the whole you.
Yeah, and
so if you fix what was wrong then, you're right now.
Yeah, let's have a do-over. That would be great.
Well, it's not really a do-over. It's more of an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not mind being able to go back in my current incarnation and fix things. So,
but then you think about this. If you fix something, how much will that change everything else?
Well, that's the quandary, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why time machines were supposed to be wonderful things. And you know what? Would I have my children? Would I have my husband? You don't know. You absolutely do not know. You don't, in my opinion, you don't mess with the past. Because you know what? When you are in a different incarnation, then it's a growth experience.
And I think, personally, weighing in on this, I think that everything that happens to you and everything you go through, there's a reason for it, and it was meant to be.
Yes.
And
I think everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and some of them might not be that great of experiences. As a matter of fact, they may have been downright horrible, but there is a reason for it. And if you can take those experiences and learn what the meanings of them are, what are you supposed to take away from that,
Yeah.
And they are all learning things. They every experience, bad, good, they are learning experiences. I've just so come to find this out over the years.
Well, and thank God for them,
Life lessons, that's exactly what they are. Life lessons, Instead of sitting back and saying, pity poor me, when something happens, you sit back and you say, what am I supposed to take away from this? And if you think about it logically, you should, be able to.
Well, Lori said over in the Spreaker chat, you hope you find peace and figure out what you're supposed to learn.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't, or if you're just not that into it, something doesn't go right for you, can you make it worse?
Well, I think if you fool around with that, I mean, everybody is given free will and all of that, but I think if you do fool around with that so much and go back and change what you were supposed to go through, I mean, I just wonder what comes of that.
That is really something to ponder.
It is, because and it's been a growth and learning thing all along the way. And my eyes really started opening up when I hit 30. And I think that's an awakening time. You're like, God, I'm 30, right? And so you start thinking about things more.
Well, that is something that I have never had a problem with a birthday. You hear about people that do, and like when she turned 30, my sister locked herself in the bathroom and cried all day. And I did not know that until my nephew, ratted her out. So that was something to ponder.
And sometimes, we talk about reincarnation, and you meet somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, they seem like such an old soul. And maybe they are really an old soul. Like Joni mentioned something in the other chat that, we may come back. She said, we may come back to redo what we did wrong to make it right. And, I think maybe that's part of it.
But are you going to affect someone else's current reality with doing that?
Well, you bring that forward to your new life, and I think that's where you get some of these people who seem like they're such old souls, and maybe they really are. Maybe they just they're still in that learning phase.
Well, I think that if you're here, you're still in that learning phase.
That's very good.
And I also have been told that to be here is a choice by the people that do that kind of work. And, I'm often shocked, right? I'm often shocked. I think that there are a lot of people that walk this planet who are going to be amazed at some of the choices they have to make later.
Yes.
And I'm a Christian by faith. I'm a Christ follower. I try to be what he was. A peacekeeper, a teacher, a student, and someone who tries to change the world through love.
And let me tell you, you do a good job, because sometimes I get a little crazy and you're there to pull me back down and make me see a rationale. And you do just that. Yes, you do.
Well, thank you. But you do that too. Because everybody has their moments. And, you know, I have mine and some other people's moments sometimes. Enough for all.
Yes.
And, you know, Sherry says that she believes there are people you run into and have an immediate bond with, and you feel like you've known them forever, and that's because you have.
And
I'm a firm believer in that.
I don't think that you meet people by chance. I think you meet people for particular reasons. And I think there's a purpose for everyone in your life. And sometimes, you know, like when you have breakups or you're no longer friends or something happens, they fulfilled that part in your life that they needed to fulfill. And then it's over, you know?
Yes. And, you know, I have had times, two in particular, with individuals who mattered greatly to me when my life was not good. And they died before I could let them know life is pretty good. You know, I had to go through things that I think were relevant to that. You know, you have to learn lessons. And there were some that I had to take ownership, but there was a lot that was not my choice.
Right.
You know, it was somebody else
absolutely.
doing what they needed to do.
Absolutely.
As it were.
Sometimes you're part of someone else's life learning experiences. Absolutely.
And, you know, it's an interesting concept because I have friends who are Buddhists, and I have a really hard time with, oh, well, this happened to you because you were a child abuser in a past life, so you had to learn about that. And I'm like, I don't think so, dude. You know, it doesn't feel like this is mine. So, you know, it's just, but there probably is some truth to that. Not that I was a child abuser in a past life, but I mean that we have experiences, or the people that we are interacting with had experiences that they're having to struggle through a lesson. And if they're fighting that lesson, then you get splattered with the leftover anger, fear, aggression, whatever, because they're fighting learning that lesson. They don't want to face a lesson. I've had lessons I would have preferred not to face, incredible numbers of them. But you don't get the lesson if you don't do the work.
Have you noticed, and anybody out there listening tonight, have you noticed that sometimes, this happened to me until I woke up one day, you know, one day it just all hits you. Mm-hmm. Have you been through situations that were tough and similar, like over and over, because maybe
yes, because I'm a hard study.
Learn your lesson. Yes. And it's like, okay, we have got to fix this. I'm supposed to take something away from this, obviously. You know.
Yeah, and when it continues, to happen in your life, I agree. You know, you have to say, okay, this is on me because obviously I'm not coping. I'm not getting this. Why is this continuing to happen? What am I doing? And I do think that that is a reality. You know, Joni said that she thinks there are those who are so evil they don't get a choice they have to keep coming back. I would think.
That might be true, too. That might be true, too. You know, you have to keep going back.
And see, that's the reason I'm a Christ follower, because I am not a Christ. Because when stuff like that happens, you know, in particular, at one point in my life, I opened an obituary page, and there was someone from my past there. And without even thinking, I posted, you know, I don't know whether to be sad or to go find a grave to dance on.
Yeah.
And my grown-up through my life that was constant responded and said, I wondered if you had seen that.
Right.
I was like, yes, I did. And I had an inappropriate response, and I am going to have to work on that because I do not feel forgiving, and I have to be able to forgive to be able to move on. It's life.
And with that, folks, we'll be right back with more Ghost Talk. You are listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM-DB.
And we're going into extra because we can. Y'all come back.
Another shooting at a military base. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Military investigators say the gunman who shot and killed 3 people, wounding 7 others before he was killed at Pensacola Naval Air Station this morning, was a second lieutenant in the Saudi Air Force undergoing flight training at the base. President Trump says he spoke to the Saudi king after the shooting.
The king said that the Saudi people are greatly angered by the barbaric actions of the shooter, and that this person in no way, shape, or form represents the feelings of the Saudi people who love the American people so much.
The gunman was killed by police responding to the shooting. The FBI is the lead agency investigating and will determine whether the attack was terrorism-related. The investigation into Wednesday's attack at the Pearl Harbor Navy shipyard continues. Rear Admiral Robert Chadwick.
Our focus remains on providing that needed support to the families, sailors, and shipyard employees who have been affected by this.
Investigators say the 22-year-old sailor was armed to stand watch at a submarine undergoing maintenance and used his service weapons in the attack. He killed 2 civilian workers and injured another before killing himself. President Trump won't send anyone to represent him before the House impeachment inquiry. Fox's John Roberts says the White House counsel sent a letter to Judiciary Chair Jerry Nadler.
We don't see any reason to participate because the process is unfair. Speaker Pelosi has already announced the predetermined result. They will not give us the ability to call any witnesses.
Meantime, congressional investigators will have to continue their legal fight to see President Trump's financial records. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg tonight placing a temporary hold on a lower court ruling requiring 2 banks to hand over records to congressional committees. America is listening to Fox News.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. That's the problem growing businesses have because of a hodgepodge of business systems. One for accounting, another for sales, another for inventory. If that's you, you know it's a mess that takes up too much time and too many resources. And that hurts the bottom line. You need NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. With NetSuite, you save time, money, and unneeded headaches by managing sales, finance and accounting, orders, and HR instantly from your desktop or phone. That's why NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Companies that use NetSuite grow 3 times faster than the S&P 500. And right now, NetSuite is offering you valuable insights with a free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox to download your free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits. netsuite.com/Fox.
Iran's aggressive activity and recent civil unrest continues raising concerns from other nations.
European officials saying today they could consider acting against Iran for its stepped-up missile activity in contravention of UN sanctions. This as the U.S. is now claiming that possibly over 1,000 people have been killed in recent unrest in Iran. And with new concerns about Iran's shipment of missiles in the Mideast region, the U.S. confirming it has intercepted a boat carrying what officials say could be missile parts destined for Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. In London, Greg Talcott, Fox News.
A Los Angeles jury hearing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit has found Elon Musk did not defame a British cave explorer when he called him pedo guy in an angry tweet. Vernon Unsworth, who helped in the rescue of 12 boys and their soccer coach trapped for weeks in a Thailand cave last year, angered the Tesla CEO by belittling his effort to help with the rescue as a PR stunt. A Michigan boy brings a crowd of friends to his adoption hearing.
After living with his foster family for about a year, 5-year-old Michael from Grand Rapids, Michigan, officially becoming adopted in a Kent County court. The child inviting his entire kindergarten class for support.
1, 2, 3.
Dozens of classmates cheering him on, waving paper hearts on wooden sticks. Michael's teacher setting up the memorable field trip. 37 children officially joining their forever families as part of the county's Adoption Day. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Hiring in the U.S. hit its highest level since January as employers added 266,000 jobs. The Labor Department says the unemployment rate dipped to 3.5%, down 1/10 from October, matching a 50-year low. Wages rose 3.1% year over year. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
This news report is brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. NetSuite is offering their free guide, 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits, at netsuite.com/Fox.
Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio. With me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And if you just tuned in, I urge you all to join us in chat at WBHM-DB.com or join us in the Spreaker chat where you can join in on the conversation and ask us any questions you may have. And tonight, my special guest is Kat Hobson, and she has got, let me tell you, she is such a fantastic investigator. She's the voice of Fate Magazine Radio and Paranormal Experienced, and actually, she owns the network, so so she's pretty fabulous.
And I have a lot of fun.
And she has a lot of fun, that's right. And I'll tell you, golly, we have got so much exciting stuff we're planning for this upcoming new year. And some of it we can talk about, some of it we can't talk about. What do you got coming up this year? What's your plans, Kat? Some of the things you're planning to do.
Well, I am hoping to be out at Contact in the Desert. And that was my very first UFO spiritualist kind of experience that I was able to cover as media, and I am forever grateful for that because I met so many people. I had been studying ufology kind of on my own, and to get a chance to talk to some of the people who have done the things they've done or experienced the things they saw was breathtaking. You know, John D'Souza is someone that I interviewed him when his first book came out. He has 3 now. He is doing shows all over the place. He does stuff with George Norrie. He does stuff with all kinds of stuff with Gaia. And I got to meet him face to face. I got to talk with him and meet his wife, who is just amazing. Bella is somebody I like a lot. You know, I got to meet a lot of people that I had only interviewed. And I love when that happens because you can get more in depth face to face. And I mean, at one point I was sitting around a fire pit with Giorgio Tsoukalos, Eric Von Daniken.
Personable. It gets to be more personable. I'm sure it's quite thrilling.
Yes. And yeah, Travis Walton was somebody who was a very nice man. I don't know how he copes with all the things that he deals with, but he does. And he can play guitar. It was fun. We had a sing-along around the fire pit. But, those were things that I would never 5 years ago, have dreamed I would experience. To get to participate in conversations, there were so many people there that I just enjoyed them.
Like, I am so interested in UFOs and all the information and stuff out there, but I got to give you some real props because I just cannot keep up with the ever-changing things they find and the studies that they're doing. I did go out to a really little fun trip I did once, and I went out to Roswell and had the whole Roswell experience in New Mexico, and that was just awesome.
I can't even imagine. I've never been to Roswell.
Really?
I've been to Sedona. I spent, 2 days in Sedona. I would love to go there on an extended holiday. I just think that I actually had a chakra alignment while I was out there, too. That was a very special thing for me. I enjoyed everything about it. And I think Roswell would be a lot of fun. It's something that, there's no way I was going to try to go in a bureau run through dodging bullets. That was just kind of like, I am not going to swarm Area 51.
It was Roswell experience. Everyone just embraces it, and the whole alien thing, and the museums and the shops, and the people were so nice, and I had a great time, and some of the best Mexican food on the planet.
Really?
Yes. I would go back out that way. I really would. It was fun.
I like that because I didn't know if it would be just so commercial that you couldn't stand being there.
Well, don't get me wrong. There is, like, their McDonald's is shaped like a spaceship. It really truly is. It was the most.
Okay, now that's fun.
Yes, it was fun. It was a very awesome sight. But, some of it is commercialized. Like, they have an alien standing outside the bank building. You know what I mean? It was a lot of fun. And the museums were so good, informative. I really enjoyed it. I truly did.
Well, I love ufology. And it kind of took me by surprise. And when I started talking to people who were involved in this, people that would be telling me about their abduction experiences and things of that nature, I wasn't sure what to think, right? And then I met Stanton Friedman, and I was very fortunate to call him my friend. He did not mind my ignorance as long as I was trying to fix it. And he knew I was, because I think I asked more questions than he really wanted to answer. So,
right.
But he never minded.
Sometimes that happens. If you need to know and you're trying to learn,
Well, he was the only physicist I knew that could just sit down and explain. Period. Okay, this is what this is, and this causes this, and then the effect goes here, and then this, and throw money at it and get your butt out in space. That's how we got on the moon. Just throw more money at it. Right. Money makes the world go round, and it also makes engineers happy.
Right.
So,
I'm really interested in it. I've seen some strange things. I've had some strange things happen. I need more education, I think, on it,
Yeah. And there's a lot to it. I mean,
there is a lot to it.
I didn't know because, I kind of had to pick which way I wanted to go with this because you can get caught in the weeds really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So where I wanted to go initially was with the science. Okay? And I am someone who thinks that it's amazing that so many people are freaks for ancient aliens. I am one. So I can use that terminology. But the concept of this show to bring this information forward was, just to put it in the public venue. They are not saying whatever, as Robert says, an ancient alien theorists say yes.
Right,
it's so funny. He's a good guy. And all of these people that work on that show are good people. I would venture to say I haven't met someone yet working on that show that I do not think believes in what they're doing. I think they're serious.
Lori Dorsey in chat says that her dad was an engineer for NASA on some of the Apollo missions. Now, that is quite fascinating because a lot of the astronauts have experienced some strange things.
Yes, they have, and recently.
Yes, and so I'm wondering what kind of strange happenings maybe, Lori's dad come across. Any stories to share, Lori?
My stepdad was actually in the control room for the countdown of, I believe it was Apollo 3 that burned on the launch pad.
Oh, terrible.
And they had just changed because for the final part of the countdown, it is supervisors and bosses that are doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that he was probably not having one regret that he did not have those earphones on.
Yeah.
And, you have to admire the people that were working on these missions, whether they're engineers, whether they're physicists, whether they're, jet jockeys that are lucky enough and work hard enough and are special enough to become flying astronauts. There's just such the creme de la creme of science involved in these programs. And I've got to tell you, when a scientist, astronaut, astronomer, any Indian chief in any of those categories, right, says, we saw this. It was not that. This is not true what they're putting out. Then, that's who I'm going to believe.
Right.
Because I think War of the Worlds was a test and we failed miserably.
Well, it very well could be that. Absolutely. There's so much information coming to light and so much more that we're finding out that could be right there.
Yeah. The whole reason that there is noetic science is because one of the astronauts looked back at Earth and was like, whoa, there is a lot more. You know, at that point, everything he knew, everyone he knew, period, was on that ball beneath him. And, you know, that just had to be a fascinating moment. It was life-altering for him. So, that was pretty cool.
You know,
time, though.
Speaking of everything, I guess it's time for a short break, folks. And
I'm sorry.
We just get so carried away with what we're talking about. And we do this in real life, too. Like, hours could pass. And by the time you know it, it's like, oh, my gosh, we've been on here for 2 hours. Wow.
Right?
And with that, folks, we will be right back after this short message. You're listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM-DB.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. So let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And tonight, I have the fabulous Kat Hobson here with me. And if you guys missed the first half of the show, no worries. You can catch it on Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and there's a few others too. So wherever you are, we're there. Just look us up and you can listen to the archives at your leisure. Join us in chat. We've got some people in chat that's joining in on the conversation tonight. If you want to join in, share a story or two, Join us in the Spreaker chat or in the interactive chat room at WBHM-DB.com. Tonight it's been like kind of having coffee around the kitchen table. We've been talking about all kinds of different, everything paranormal, and we have touched on UFOs and some haunted locations and paracons. And speaking of paracons, I'm pretty excited because I'm going to go to that Gettysburg with you this upcoming year, Kat. So I'm pretty excited about that. What's some
I'm excited too.
What is some of the great things that's happened for you at at the Gettysburg Battle Bash? I think that's what it is, right?
Yes. And I think that probably my favorite thing is I interview a lot more people from the paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson than I do on Fate. Fate is geared more towards other topics. There will be a paranormal roundtable on the 15th with myself, Frank Lee, Butch Wachowski, and Pete Havland. So that's going to be a really interesting thing, and not something I put on Fate a lot.
Right.
But because that covers all topics. I mean, you have cryptid expert, you have Frank and I, who co-founded the American Noetic Sciences Research Study, or ANSRS. So we've got that side covered. I have abilities that we're testing as part of that group. So that's going to be fun. But anyway, because of what I do, most of the people that do public or well-known, see all the things on television and such, even the YouTube channels, are generally from New England.
Yeah.
That's been a lot. So, I get to see them and meet them and talk with them. And the very first year I went, the people from Deadlight, which is some of the best lighting. If you are a paranormal investigator looking for a good lighting system, Deadlight is the place to go. And they do not endorse me. I just endorse the daylight side of them because they are such nice people. I mean, they don't pay me, but they are such nice people. Their equipment is thebomb.com. You can get it for any application. Use it in any application. They're good people. So that's awesome. But, you know, I met them and they had some new equipment. They were going out with Robert from the Elite Paranormal group, and they let me go.
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah.
I know. It was awesome. And we went out to Sachs Bridge, but not, I did walk across Sachs Bridge because I didn't know the history of it, and I wanted to just see what it felt like. It didn't feel like the legends and the stories of it. It was nothing like what I later found out it was described as. But it's still beautiful and still such a huge part of this nation's history. We went the other way, opposite the bridge, into a field. And that was, to me, very interesting because I saw what looked like a group of trees. They weren't there. They weren't trees. Because they keep that clear cut. The battlefields are clear. Then, you know, I started, and one of the men behind me started seeing something that was like popping up. I thought it was rabbits. And it was totally not rabbits. It was people. Dead people, I guess. But they were the spotters.
Wow.
Is how it was described to me. And they actually had a role in the battlefield there. They would try to get near to near to them, the opposition. And they could count them, see how many there were. They could take them out, whatever. But that was a real thing. And I don't normally see, right? It has to be something that is really a lot of energy for me to see. And, I mean, what I thought was a stand of trees was a group of men. What I thought were rabbits were, again, people popping up doing their job. And I was so excited.
Oh, I bet.
I mean,
sure.
It was one of the best experiences. But by the same token, I got to meet so many people that I like and admire and had spoken to in the past. And to actually get to sit down through the course of the weekend and have conversations with them was a gift.
Oh, yes.
The Gettysburg Battlefield Bash is one of the best events run by some of the best people. I mean, you just can't say enough about Steve and Pam Berry. They put everything into this. The people that come, I mean, I go as press. I still pay a vendor fee because it's a fundraiser. And
I am looking forward to going there with you this year.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, so exciting.
They have diners too, just so you know. We don't have diners here. So they call everything a diner. They have a Friendly's, which is a diner. They have a Lincoln thing that is a diner, and the inside of it looks like an Airstream trailer. I mean, it's cool. This is a neat place, and what really got me this year was I was walking back up to the square, up to my car, and the Rolling Thunder came through. It was all of the MIA POW trucks flying their flags. It was all of the vehicles that participate with this organization.
Wow.
You know, everything goes to support the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors. And it was fantastic. There are lectures through the course of the day. I'm only one of 3 or 4 media people that are there. That's how I got to know Ted Van Zandt. And I'm so lucky.
Yes,
and Cindy.
It's gonna be thrilling again, and
I won the raffle. I won the raffle my first year, so you know, they had some beautiful cornhole boards, and they had an SLS camera, and they said that I won, and I was like, "Did I win the cornhole boards?" They said, "No, you won the SLS camera." I said, "Oh." That's cool too.
You know, speaking about the SLS camera, this was pretty darn interesting. And here we are getting off on another subject.
Oh, please, that's what we do.
That's what happens when we have coffee around the table, right?
It is.
Speaking about the SLS cameras, one night I thought was so very interesting was we had an event at the jail. Lori was there, Lori Dorsey, who's in chat.
Yeah.
And she was running her SLS camera, and Vincent was there running our SLS camera, and they were in different spots, filming at different angles. And do you know, both cameras caught the same exact thing. So what do you make of that? I think that is a, verification that those cameras were capturing
you can argue that one might be just an anomaly. 2, you just can't argue that. I'm sorry. I don't think there's any possible way to.
I mean, if you're going to get a false positive on one and you've got another camera in a different angle and it's getting the same thing, you know what I'm saying? That is highly unlikely that you're going to get the exact same false positive, you know? And that was a pretty darn good investigation. It opened up the thought that the spirits do like music from their time period. If you can figure out who they are and what their music was like during their time period, we found during that investigation the spirit who showed up was interactive with the music of her time period. And so taking that instance in consideration, I had done another event during the summer where we used a hologram and played music from that spirit's time period. And the early stuff from his early years, he was enjoying, captured on 2 SLS cameras. He was enjoying the music.
Yeah.
And when you get to experience verifications on stuff like that, it's so exciting and so thrilling.
Well, that's why we do it, right?
Yeah, it is. And so that's something more that we've learned that we can verify. They do hear it and they do like it. I mean, it's fascinating, really.
Well, it is, because, you know, we're always trying to find ways that are going to get their interaction.
Yeah, and it's so much more. It's so much more exciting when you know that, because for whatever reason they're still in this realm without their bodies, and you know they've passed on, but you're still able to give them a little bit of happiness. Isn't that just so awesome?
I think it is. I mean, I don't know what it's like when you die. I've never done it.
Right, and we truly don't know until we get there, right? So,
right.
Whether or not they're there by choice or by circumstance or whatever it is, if it's not by choice, you know, just think about what your, you know, existence would be. You know what I mean? So to give a little joy is pretty fascinating.
Well, and who even knew for certain that they could feel that?
Well, you know, I mean, we didn't know. We know now.
We do know now. And, you know, that's really cool. But, you know, you are probably the best person I know at analyzing, because you do own a haunted facility. You interact with the spirits there on a regular basis. They interact with you.
Yes.
They are constantly chatting. I mean, you have some chatty Cathys in there.
Yes.
And, yeah, the funniest thing, I think, was we were doing Gary's birthday party. Gary's a spirit. Doing his birthday party, which also happened to be his death day. He died on his birthday. And your husband Vincent and I were slicing and dicing and getting the vegetables ready. And I think that it was hilarious. That was so funny because he was not comfortable whatsoever.
And he's
with them talking through this portal, and I'm sitting there just, I'm talking to Vincent. I'm talking to the spirit. I'm talking to Vincent. I'm talking to the spirit. Whoever's asking me a question or talking,
Right.
And I looked over at Vincent, and he was just like looking at me like I had lost my mind.
Well,
I'm lucky he didn't run away.
And their talking sometimes still freaks him out. Like, I'll be running that portal, and I do it because it makes it so much easier for him to come through. And it's so funny because he'll come in the room, and one of them will say, "Hey, Vincent," and he'll look at me, and he's like, "Bye now," and he leaves the room.
Yeah.
He's like, "This just freaks me out so much,"
I think that's funny. But he did think I'd lost my mind.
Well,
I mean, he was kind of done.
That is, and he, like, if he does work in areas of the building and stuff, and he's there by himself, he wears headphones and plays music because the carrying on and the talking and stuff, it freaks him out. It does.
Yeah.
So, I'm good with it all. They can talk and carry on all they like, except when I lay down for sleep. Don't talk to me.
And you also don't like them in your home, which is not the jail.
That's correct. I've had a couple followers, and a couple of them did speak up here in my house, and I'm like, absolutely not. We are not talking here. You want to talk to me? We'll talk at the jail. Go back to the jail. I absolutely, and I have a spirit in this house, and I will not engage in conversation. Absolutely not. Hey, you'll stuff happens around here. You'll hear it walking the staircase, and I won't conversate in my house with them. I will not. I mean, I have to have, since I'm around this so much, you have to have, even though I know somebody is here,
a sanctuary.
I still have to feel like, right, I don't want that. I don't want the talking here. If they come and they don't talk to me, I'm okay with it. Just, I don't want the talking here at the house. I mean, when we built the portal, when we first initially built the portal, and I got all the parts, and one of the parts had to come from Japan, and they all came in, and we built the portal here in the house. And I was like, I know we need to test it to make sure all my parts I got good parts, but I'm like, I really do not want to initiate that talking here in my house. And so Vincent's like, well, we'll wait till we go to the jail. I'm like, yeah, but if I have a bad part, I'm not going to know it till we get up there. So I'm like, let's just turn it on for a couple of minutes and make sure all the parts work. Do you know? We turned that portal on in my house, and it did absolutely nothing. And I thought, what is wrong with this thing? There was no even scan radio, no nothing, right?
Right.
And
that's weird.
I was like, okay, so is the amp bad? Is the decimator bad? What's going on with this? The portal, I spent all this money, which part's bad? And nothing would have worked. So Vincent's like, just calm down. You don't want him talking to you here. We'll take it to the jail and we'll test it. And do you know? We took it to the jail and voila. And I find that, it's funny because for whatever reason, they're really respectful about that. And I'm so happy,
Well, sure.
And we have Sherry in the chat room, and she wants to know, are there any stories about aliens, Bigfoot, or elementals that we believe? And she said she has a hard time with the fairy thing, And do I think they exist?
Well, I think we should answer that right after we get back from break.
I think so too. And with that, we'll be back after this short break. You are listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM-DB.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
To the believer, the evidence is overwhelming. To the skeptic, there will never be enough. Hello, everyone. Join Kevin and Jennifer Malik, the host of Paraversal Universe, every Friday here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET-FM and The Rift. Log on or tune in as they check out the mysteries found within the 8 categories of the unknown and unexplained, including ghosts and haunted places, aliens and UFOs, theology and mythology, cryptids and monsters, urban legends and folklore, conspiracies, metaphysics, and forbidden archaeology. Listen as Kevin and Jennifer interview the top minds in their respective fields as they share theories and information regarding these unsolved mysteries. For future show and archive information, one can find Paraversal Universe on Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe under various Paraversal Universe headings. So, for excellent talk radio about the unknown and unexplained, check out Paraversal Universe, where all paranormal perspectives apply. Brought to you by the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, Ltd., and produced by WBHM-DB.com.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Welcome back. You are listening to Ghost Talk Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. And this is Kat. I am Shelly's guest. And I was bringing it back in for her because she was making sure there wasn't some emergency. And I'm hoping that's right. Right, Shell?
And it is right. You know what? When your parents call, you don't want to ignore, right? And so my dad calls, and my dad is a Pentecostal preacher, and he is inviting me to a Christmas play. That's why he kept ringing my phone. He wants to invite. He is a main character in the Christmas play at church, and he wants me to come and check it out. So
too cool.
So it's not anything serious, thank goodness. So, before the break, we were talking about, we had a question, and Sherry wanted to know, is there anything that we believe in, like such as aliens, Bigfoot, elementals? And she says she has a hard time with the fairy thing, and do we think they exist? Which is so very interesting. What a question, because what is your take on fairies, Kat? What do you think?
I have a difficult time with fairies, but I'm going to admit to feeling hypocritical when I say that, because I believe and have talked with people who have experienced paranormal activity, UFO abductions, UFO sightings, dogmen experiencers, Bigfoot hunters who are not hunting the Bigfoot themselves, they are hunting for trace evidence of them and have found that. I have experienced an elemental. I feel like the biggest schmuck on the planet when I say I have a hard time with fairies. I I do think that they exist because there is such a history of them. They go into Ireland in the 1400s. There's documented experiences with them. And I don't think everybody was drunk.
And I'm gonna weigh in on that. I'm gonna say anything is possible because it really is, but I have a hard time with the fairies too.
What about elementals?
I have a hard time with elementals.
What about cryptids?
Although sometimes I do feel like my former life, I was a garden gnome. I'm just joking. I mean, because I am really good at growing stuff, you know.
You are good at growing stuff. It's ridiculous.
So, I mean, maybe, I don't know. So I have a hard time. And I think it's because I haven't experienced it. It's just like when people say they don't believe in ghosts because they haven't experienced it. So, I mean, you know, your elementals are found in nature and your fairies are found in nature, and I'm just not in that situation enough, you know, like camping or tromping through the woods, all that, hardly ever, to be able to have the experience, maybe. So I'm not in that situation enough to know if it's real or not real, but I do have a really hard time with it. Cryptids is a whole nother thing too. I have had no type of experiences, so I can't say they don't exist. I would be so close-minded. I'm just going to say I have a hard time with it because I even Bigfoot, I have a hard time with it because I have no kind of anything to reference, to prove, you know, to no experiences, no sightings, no trace evidence of any kind. So it's hard for me, all of it.
Well, that's understandable because I don't have a lot of experience with things of that nature either.
Yeah, and
I think that probably I know people who are sane in every other aspect of their lives. They're outstanding researchers. Their attention to detail is astounding. And they have told me their experiences. In fact, the people that I'm doing that roundtable with on the 15th, some of them delve in these things. I do believe the UFO experiences. And that is because I have seen them. I have not had an alien encounter, to my knowledge, that I have any recall on. I do know that I have seen things. I saw something come out of a cloud.
I absolutely agree with that. Yes.
But I was also at an event where a Bigfoot person was talking about how his life was changed. He wouldn't even come out and tell people that he had seen a Bigfoot for 2 years because he was afraid people would think he was crazy. I asked his input on dogmen. And he was like, oh, they are just BS. And I said, really? So that's because you have disproven them? Or you're just whatever? I didn't appreciate that. I felt that expecting someone to believe that you have had an experience when you are going to belittle other people who have experienced something else that you have not yet, and then calling them out as being a bunch of BS is wrong.
It is wrong. So. And that's why I'm like, anything is possible. I just have had no experiences to reference. So that's why I have a hard time with it personally. But do I think people are crazy? No. No, I don't. It's just, I would like to think that there's little fairies tending all of nature. That would be pretty awesome.
That's why all your plants do so well. That's I don't have any fairies to help me with mine.
It must be, and I wish one of them would just show themselves just once. Yeah.
Be careful what you ask for. I actually had a man who thoroughly believed that he had saved the Queen of the Fairies because there was something eating them at one of our local parks. And he and his friends went because they were magical people and slayed whatever the black thing was. And that their reward for doing so was being able to actually glimpse the Queen of the Fairies. He was serious. Wow. And I couldn't disprove him, but he was a little scary, which leads me into that. She says, how about witches? And I do believe that people who train and study and who actively seek to cause harm can. I also think that people who actively seek, educate themselves to do no harm can too. I have interviewed a woman named Dorothy who was like the lead witch in North America, and she educated me. I did not know anything about that practice other than bewitched. Right. So when I had the chance to talk to Dorothy Morrison, I learned a whole lot. And I spoke with someone else at a later point who was talking about hexing and such. And I said, yeah, but, the rule of three applies. If you are using bad intent and you cast something out, it will come back to you times 3. And that individual said, well, sometimes it's worth it.
See, and that's, I think that's terrible. That's terrible.
Well, it is terrible. And, I live by do no harm. And to have somebody actually say, well, a little harm might be worth that. No. That is absolutely not the mindset I want to associate myself with.
You get back. You get coming to you what you send out. If you have nothing but positive and all of that going out, that's what you attract, So why would you want to do harm and cause bad stuff to happen for your life,
Well, the good thing is that people who choose to walk on the dark side, as it were, are always surprised by the ferocity that someone who is protecting can bring. And sometimes you have to let, the best way to phrase this, I know we're almost out of time, but you have to let yourself deal in a way that is recognized. Powerful, but using good.
Well, and I think if
in that circumstance,
you have your mind and your will, and if it's strong, and if I think that sometimes people wishing you ill and all of that, I think it can just bounce right off.
Absolutely.
I do believe that. I do believe it.
Sherry says, yep, good karma.
Otherwise, I'm sure not everyone loves me. So I just think that your intent and your positivity and some of these ill wishers, whatever they wish bad for you, I think can just bounce right off. That's how I feel.
I have found that someone that I thought would never be two-faced was my friend, was someone that appreciated the publicity and support was talking negatively about me.
Yeah.
And I do believe that that's one of those circumstances that the reality comes back. That's putting out negativity about someone who has only tried to do positive for you. And that, I think, is dangerous.
Yeah, and you're not going to get anything good, coming of it. So even if somebody's wronged you, you have to just deal with it then and let it go. And let it go. Yeah. Right. You just and dealing with paranormal, I think intent is everything too, because you find people that are always getting pushed and scratched and knocked down and all of this, and it's intent. I have never encountered evil ever.
The only time I had was when it was in humans. It wasn't in the spiritual realm. It's been in humans.
Yeah, I have never encountered a demon, but my intent is not to. My intent is not to provoke anyone either. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and you're absolutely right. I mean, intent is everything. And that's why when people are living in negativity, then, and it's negative things happen.
Yes, you're like a magnet for it. You really are.
And there is dark in this world, and it does have it will draw to negative people. Yeah. And, you have to live your life in the best way that you can. I always close my shows with, be the change you want to see in the world. Be the friend that you would want to have. And I really believe that, and I really strive for that. I fail sometimes, but you got to have a goal.
No, sure.
And I think those are pretty good ones.
And so I just want to, we're getting close. We're actually going over time again. So I'm going to let everyone know that if you are local and you're listening, we are going to be 187PI is going to be in the Merry and Bright Christmas Parade Sunday at 5:30 in Paulding, Ohio, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be so much fun.
You are so excited about that. I think that's awesome.
I am. That is going to be a lot of fun, and we are working on getting a new schedule up and around, and working hard on that. So as soon as we have that up, we'll post it out there. New schedule for private booking dates available at the jail, as well as public ghost hunts, escape games. We will be running more mystical nights at the jail this first part of the year, and we have got a mystical fair in the works for summertime, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So more details will be coming on that as we get the planning going.
In your air-conditioned and heated jail.
Oh, I know. I
am so excited.
I am too. You just have no idea. It's night and day difference now that we have heat up in there this time of year.
Well, no doubt. And I have to give kudos to you because you just went and did it. And it's going to make it such a great experience.
Yes.
Because, you know, I don't mind rubbing a little sweat. I can't stand to be cold. And,
you know
you fixed both of those.
Well, it's like everything I am throwing my everything into my work there and that building. So, and I'm doing it all by hand, by scratch. There is no bank loans, none of that. You know, it's a lot of hard work.
It is a lot of hard work, but you know, I'm really proud of you because that's just wonderful. It is, in my opinion, out of the 5 that I'm aware of trying to wear the title of Paranormal Research Center. It is, but now you've made it so that people can enjoy it year-round. And
yes.
That takes a lot. I mean, the others are working towards that goal too.
Yes.
But I just think it's amazing. And I appreciate all of y'all that are doing these things.
And I'll tell you, and it can get a little disheartening. I mean, like, what do you want to say? Disheartening or like, oh, am I ever going to get to this goal? Because that was the big one. The heating and cooling was a huge one. It's like, am I ever going to get to that point? You know, I mean, yeah, I could if I wanted to go out and get loans, but that's not how I want to do it. You don't want to put yourself in a huge debt, you know?
Well, and, you know, but you are definitely one of the most patient people on some things.
Yes.
And you have been with this. And you have been, I mean, you were very assertive with getting it handled. And I think that that's just one of the biggest steps that needed to be taken in your facility, and you've done it. Yeah. And as Lori said, it's paying off. It is. And people know that you are there and that you're serious. And this is not something...
I'll tell you that heating and cooling system costs more than the building.
Yes.
It costs me more than the building. So, yeah.
Then you did it.
And, you know, I want to also let everyone know that our fabulous network, before we close, and we've went over again, but... we
didn't talk enough today, so, you know, it's all good.
I know. We have got some great shows on our network, and Sunday nights is the Fate Magazine radio show, and the host, obviously, my partner here on the show tonight, Kat Hobson, and she's got some fascinating guests and topics, and you definitely will want to tune into that, 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. And Monday nights we have Paranormal Pride with host Denise Pridemore, and she has some great show topics and some great guests on there too. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. And Wednesday, it's the station signature show, which is Paranormal Experienced with host Kat Hobson. 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. So what you just need to know is 4 days a week at 8 p.m. you have a radio show date, folks.
Well, and Fridays have been the Maliks, and they start at 4, 5 Eastern, 4 Central.
Right.
And they have not been in for the last couple of weeks, but they will be coming back. And we are waiting patiently. So, and that is Paraversal Universe, which is a little ahead of your show.
Yes. And so tune in, everybody. And I want to thank you all all my listening friends out there tonight for taking time out of your busy schedules. And I know things start getting really crazy this time of year with the holidays, and everybody has a lot more things that they need to do. And so thank you all for taking time out to listen to this broadcast tonight. And I hope you have a fantastic evening and a wonderful weekend. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Warning, the following message does not necessarily reflect the views of WBHM-DB or its hosts, guests, listeners, or of any functioning adult in general. In fact, Frank should probably seek professional help. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, Frank Lee here. I thought that I would spend a few moments telling you about the positivity from the network here. The overall message of para-unity and happiness, and how everyone here wants to get along with everyone out there, and how everything is just wonderful. Wait, Kat's not looking. Okay, I've got something to really tell you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what's really going on. Honestly, all that being nice and positive crap was kind of hurting my soul, as dark as it is. So, what's really happening? You see it all the time. Everybody and their brother out there has a paranormal team because they watched a couple of episodes of Ghost Hunters or some crap like that. So they go and they spend half their mortgage payment on tools and things that light up that they don't understand. And then the next logical step, after buying matching black t-shirts and posing like 90s rappers for their Facebook page, is to, of course, have their own podcast. Well, you know what? You're not going to find that crap here. What we have here at WBHM Digital Broadcasting is the best host, the best guest, bringing you real information. All of the hosts here on this network know their stuff. They are the people who have been out there doing the work, doing actual research. And no, by research, I don't mean binge watching some kind of cheesy TV show on Netflix. I mean reading books. I mean out in the field doing the legwork. And who are they interviewing on their shows? They're bringing you the people they have learned from. They're bringing you the best in the field, covering all kinds of topics, from UFOs and aliens to Bigfoot to cryptozoology to ghosts to anything you can think of. A bit strange and unexplained. It is here, and you're going to get the best information here. So stay tuned to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of going somewhere, I've got to go before my mic gets cut. We'll see you there on WBHM-DB.